browser. And like always, I'll go and this is my site. And as you all know, this is the fictional business that I'm building as a demo, and it's called Boots for Less. It's an online boot store, and this is where we left off last time. Um, we basically customized the theme with our logo, our banner, our main banner, our product categories on the home page, as well as featured products and our footer. So um, now we're going to be taking a look at the menu on the right side and how to set the menu that we want, as well as tweaking a few other things. So I'm going to try to make this video a little bit quick, a little bit shorter, because previous videos have been running a little long. So I may not go into too much detail at this point. There's really not much to say at this point. Like I said, I think we covered pretty much everything in the first part of this tutorial. Alright, so if you haven't watched that, please make sure you do before watching this section. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'll do first is I'm gonna open up a new tab, and just like before, I'll navigate to the back end of my website, which is of course your domain name /wp-admin. Then I'll log in to the back end of my site. Now I got my back end and my front end on a different tab, so I can work that way. Alright, so what we'll do first is talk about menus. Now, menus in WordPress are all handled through the menus submenu, the menus item. So that's going to be under appearance, then menus, and like I mentioned at some point in the past, if I go and take a look at my front and at the front end of my site, I'll see the navigation here. For example, I got a home page, sample page, shop, cart, checkout, my account. So you're probably asking yourself, where are all these pages coming from? And some of them are just coming from your default WordPress install, such as your sample page. I mean, you might never have created a sample page for your site, but it's still bringing it in as part of the main menu. So if you don't set a main menu with any of your WordPress themes, you probably get some kind of random pages on your menus. So that's why it's important for us to create exactly the kind of menus that we want, and that's what we'll do in this lesson. So what I'll do here, as you can see, I'm now under the menus submenu item. So I'll create a menu name. First I gotta give my menu a name, of course, so I can know exactly which menu does what. So I'll go ahead and call it main navigation, and then I'll click create menu. Okay, so now that I have my menu created, I can go ahead and set the theme location to primary menu or top menu. Now, primary menu is going to be the location in this section, I believe, and the top menu, it should be along the top left corner. Now, of course, this depends on what your theme is, which widget areas have been designated for menus. So for example, you could have a theme that has a menu item here, another menu another place for a menu here, maybe one for categories along right on top of the banner. So it really depends, but the concept is the same for every single menu, or I'm sorry, every single theme out there. So once you create your menu, you can assign that menu to your themes um, menu locations, which is right here. So now that I have my menu created, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding menu items. And what I want to do here is, you'll see that I got different sections. For example, pages. If I want to link to to an internal page within my WordPress site, I'll just go ahead and check any of these. For example, I'm looking at the most recent tab, but I can switch to the View All tab and I can add pages that way. So for example, from here I can add home to my menu. I'll just click add to menu and it'll create a link to my home page, right? Which of course it's just going to be a link to my main URL. But you can also create an external link. For example, let's say you want to have a link that goes to another site. So let's say I wanted to do a link to somebody else's let's say I just wanted to do a link to Google. Okay, so I'll just type in the URL Google and then the text that I want to appear. So, and then I can click add to menu. So see, this way you don't necessarily have to have a page within your WordPress backend for you to be able to link it to. So you can just link pages by URL. Although I really would recommend, if you do have that page within your backend of your site, I'll strongly recommend you link it internally through the pages submenu. That way, if any of your URL changes in the future, or you move to another domain, you move your website to another domain, none of these will become an issue, because even though the URL may change, the path, or basically the internal URLs within WordPress won't change, if that makes any sense. So for example, let me just show you. So I have home and I have Google as those two menu items for my primary navigation. So if I go ahead and save like I just did, and I switch back to the front end of my site and I refresh, you can see that I now have just two submenu items, right? Home and Google. And of course, if I click Google, it'll be an external link which will take me to Google's homepage. So that's just a demo, of course, just so you understand what the difference is between pages and links. So let's go ahead and remove that. Now what happens if let's say if I want to link to a product category from here? Sure, I can probably use a link URL, right? So for example, if I go to my home page once again, and as you all know, I have my product categories as thumbnails on the front page, and I can always click, let's say, men's boots, and I can just copy and paste this link right here. So whenever somebody clicks on men's boots, if I have that as a menu item, they'll be taken to this URL. But like I said, it's better to avoid this way of linking things, because believe me, sooner or later there's gonna be a broken link. So just save yourself some headaches and do it the right way the first time. So let's say, for example, I want to link to a product category like men's boots on the top of my menu, or in this section as well. So people can navigate to it easily, not just from the home page or the sidebar, but also from here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a shop page, which is strongly recommend you have the shop page. Remember, we discussed this last time. Shop page shows all your products, all categories combined within the product grid. So I'm gonna have the shop page, and within the shop page as a drop down I'm gonna have my categories. So as you can see, I have categories listed here, but these are categories for WordPress posts. They're not categories for WooCommerce. So you're asking yourself, how in the heck do I get to my WooCommerce categories from here? And that's easy. They are there, they're just not being shown at the moment. So you gotta go and go to screen options at the top, click that option, or drop down, and then go to product categories and say, and click there as well, so WordPress will show you those options. Then I'll go ahead and just close that, and look at that, we now have product categories that we can access. So that's neat, right? I click on that drop down, and then I can see my most used product categories. I can view all. So that's what I'll do. I'll just, now that I'm looking at all my categories, I'll check all of them, and then I click add to menu. As you can see here, I added a whole bunch of categories, and let's take a look at that. If I save my menu at this point and I switch back to the front end of my site, you'll see here that I have a whole bunch of categories, right? And this wouldn't be a bad deal. If you have a lot of categories, maybe you can use this as a primary menu for those. But in my case, I don't want all these showing. I still want my menu to be in the top corner. So obviously, since I have so many, the menu will shift and it will go to the next place just based on the themes, CSS, or styles. So what I want is all these categories to be sub-menu items of this shop menu item. So this is really simple. All you gotta go is click and drag on the category that you want, and then nudge it inside. See that? And now you'll see that right next to the title of that menu item, it'll show, WordPress will show you this item as a sub item. So I just click and drag. So basically I'm just kind of making this little space in between, and then just drop it once you see those outlines. And of course I can just make this as a sub menu of women's boots, right? You see how I can just drag this, but that's not what I want. Women's clothing should be its own category. So I just click, drag, and then let go. Then let's go and save that menu. And then we're gonna refresh the page, and we have home, and now we have shop. See how we have a drop down, a nice little drop down that shows you all the categories from that page. So now I can access those categories from here. I can access them from the sidebar, or of course if I'm in the home page, I can access them from my thumbnails in this way as well, right? So it's just an easy way to provide your customers a sitemap of some sorts, just a way to easily reach any page at any point in time. And like I said, you might not need this, you might not like this way, so it just depends on the way that your layout is set up. So for example, I think I would be just fine with just a sidebar navigation and then the homepage navigation. But if you have a more let's say you want to showcase a popular product category, that might be a good idea to put it in the main menu. So alright, so we have home and we have shop. Now what we want to do is we're going to be adding a blog, a contact page, and that should be it. Oh yeah, and then we'll also add the about page, which is pretty important because people love to check out the about page with new companies. And you can see this, and if you ever check your analytics for any page, it's usually the about page gets a lot of traffic, so please make sure you have a good about page about your store, about your company, your product, your brand, just to give a little backstory for people to kind of get to know you a little bit, right? So people don't like dealing with companies, they like dealing with other people. So I, from my own experience, I know this has made a huge improvement over the online stores that I worked with when they have a good solid about page. So that's what we're gonna do next. We'll to create a page, we're gonna go to the pages menu on the sidebar, and then on the sub menu we'll click add new. So here in the add new page, we'll give our new page a title, of course. So it's gonna be a about page, and I'll just put some placeholder text. So let's go to Libsyn, which is this is what we web designers use to create placeholder text for now. Switch back, and of course this is where you are actually going to have to write a really well thought out paragraph, and just paste it in there. And now what we're gonna do here is we're going to go to our template option under page attributes, and we're gonna click the drop down, and actually we don't have a template for the about page, so it's gonna be just a regular page. We'll do that for contact, yes. So one option that you can choose here is the layout for the about page, whether you want a sidebar, you don't want a sidebar, or you just want the default layout, which is the sidebar to the left with the product categories. So I don't want any product categories in the about page, so I'm gonna say I want the full layout. And these are options just for the My Style settings. You may have these options with your WordPress theme or not, so just make sure you, but if you don't, you probably have some kind of option to select which type of layout you want. And if you don't have anything like that, I would suggest checking that template drop down like I just did. You may have an about page template that came with your theme, so it's customized for that about page. So I know a lot of theme designers do this. So once I have that ready to go, I'll just hit publish. Excellent. So my page has been published, and now from here on I'll just go ahead and click add new to add a brand new page. Remember, you can also do this from the menu on the sidebar, you know, on your left side of the WordPress admin. So from here I'm going to create a contact page, so I'll say contact info, and again I'll just paste maybe a smaller paragraph, just telling people, you know, this is a way to contact us. Don't hesitate to give us a call, you know, shoot us an email, whatever kind of paragraph you want to put for that particular page. It's just nice to have a little bit of text, especially if you're using this using the My Style theme. So from here on, definitely go to page attributes and go to template, contact form. This is going to bring in those styles for the contact form, which I'll show you here in just a bit. And once you do that, we're going to hit publish. Alright, awesome. So now we have those two new pages created. What I want to do now is we're going to go back to our menu item, and then we'll go ahead and add those two new pages, right? So I'm under pages, I'll check the about and contact info, and then I'll add them to menu. And remember, you can also rearrange these as you see fit, so I can just click and drag the about right on top of contact info, because I want about to be before contact info. As a matter of fact, I want it before shop, so I'll just drag it all the way to the top, making sure it's, there you go, aligned to the left side. Then I'll save that menu. I'll switch back to my home page. Now refresh. Excellent. So we have an about page. As you can see with the dummy text that I put in earlier. And we actually have comments turned on for that page. You can always turn them off within that same whenever you're creating your page. At the bottom there should be some options to turn off your comments. So let's actually take a look at it. If I go back to my about page, I can turn off comments, let's say for this particular page only. And if you don't see that option, remember there's some hidden options that WordPress has. You just gotta click the screen options and turn those on so you can see them. In this case, I just turn on comments and discussions. So you see here, once I turn on the discussion options, I have this check boxes for allowing comments and allowing trackbacks. So I'll just turn those two off. Click update again. Switch back to my about page. And oh, there you go. See, no more ability for people to comment on this particular page. So that's great. Now click on my new page, contact info. And as you can see here, I even have a nice contact form in addition to the small paragraph that I typed in there, So, and where is this coming from? This is coming from the template, the contact form template that MyStyle has built in. And you can see that information under the MyStyle settings contact page. So any information that you put in here is going to be brought into that contact form template. So all I gotta do is check the enable the contact informal panel. Then I'll say location name Houston. Then an address for my store if I have a brick and mortar store. Zip code, my telephone number so people can reach the store if they need to, my contact form email, and I can enable the subscribe and connect functionality on the contact page template as well. And what does that mean? It's just fancy language for including your social media icons and your RSS reader. So I can, if I want to. I don't really want that on my contact page. I just want people to be focused on just phone number, email, contact form. Now here is an interesting option that MyStyle provides you, and it's the contact form Google Maps coordinates. So let's say if you want to include a Google map with your store, this is where you could put your Google map coordinates to display one. Now this also gives you some options for the map height, the zoom level, the map type. So let's go ahead and create one. And for those of you that don't know how to do that, all you gotta do is go to Google Maps, which is of course maps.google.com, and then we're gonna input an address. So let's see here. So let's say my store was a vitamin shop in Katy, Texas. The vitamin shop. Now this is, let's say this is the address for my business and I found it, right? So you have the little drop down that Google gives you right on top of your business, or exactly the address that you want to get coordinates for. All you gotta do is right click that and then click on what's here. Now what you'll get is you'll get coordinates underneath the address, and actually make sure you do it right on top of your arrow. You'll get coordinates here, and all you gotta do is just select those, copy them, and then you're gonna go back to your store and paste those, right? So got your latitude and longitude, they're separated by a comma. That's all Google knows. That's all it really needs. Once you save changes, and I update my page, you can see here, right? So I have my address, I have an awesome map that is showing my business. So obviously I'm located in Houston, and now within that map, you've probably seen this in quite a few websites. You can just it's an embedded Google map, so you can just drag across. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. And if you want your map to be zoomed in a lot more by default, you can just change that setting under default map zoom level. The higher the level, the more zoomed in you're gonna be. So see, I just changed that from 9 to 13. And actually I want that map to be a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna change the height to 400 pixels instead of the 250. Now I'll go ahead and refresh. And see that? I've got a nice bigger map, like closer. So obviously I can still zoom in and out if I want to. But by default, whenever the page loads, it'll show me at that zoomed level of 14, which is perfect for just seeing all the cross streets, and just get a quick reference of where exactly it's at, especially if you know the neighborhood. All right, so that's pretty much all there is to that. Like I said, it's really great when a theme developer creates these templates for you, so you don't necessarily have to embed this code or embed a Google map within a WordPress page, or have to install any contact forms, any contact form plugins or anything like that. You remember we typed in our emails, so whenever somebody goes and emails you a request, such as, let's say I'm gonna send a test email, this will be sent to your email address that you established under the setting, right? So I get this message saying that my email went through. After a few seconds, that will be sent to this email. And of course, people can also email you. I just got the confirmation from this email. Like I was saying, it's always people can also email you by clicking that email link and just using their own email client. But it's always easier and nicer for you to provide a quick way for people to get in touch with you. So you saw how quick that was with a contact form. So I always suggest you have a contact form of some kind along with your email address on your contact page. Alright, so we have a home, about, shop, and contact info page. So things are looking awesome. We're just gonna talk about one more thing before we wrap this up, and that's a blog. Let's say I want to include a blog as well for my homepage, for my site, that I can use maybe as a kind of news for my company, just to kind of update customers or visitors of what's going on with the store, if we're getting any specials, or what are we doing for a special holiday. How could you do that? Now, the beautiful thing is that WordPress was built with blogging in mind. I know I've said this a few times, so this functionality is ready out of the box. You just have to know how to set it up. And to do that, first we need to create a blog page. So if I click on my pages menu, you'll see all the pages that I have, but unfortunately I don't have a blog page set yet. So all I gotta do is click on the add new button, then we're gonna type in, instead of blog, we're gonna call it news. Okay, although it will be a blog functionality, and you should be I hope you are familiar with a blog. All it is just a bunch of posts or a bunch of news items that appear in a kind of stream. So now that I have my title, you don't have to type in anything for the description here. You're gonna go to page attributes and you're gonna select the blog template. And almost every single theme out there has some kind of blog template page. So that's all you gotta look for. Even if you're not using the My Style theme from WooThemes, I almost guarantee you that you will have this as part of your own theme. So once I do this, I'm gonna hit publish, and then let's go back to our menu to add this. As you can see, here's my blog page, news. Click add to menu. And then I'll put this right before shop. There we go. And I'm gonna save that menu. Now remember, the blog brings in all of your posts, not any other bits of information, not pages. That's all separate. Pages and posts are separate. Pages are what we're creating. Posts are gonna be these little bits of information that the blog, what is called a blog roll, will bring in. So for example, right now I have just one post, which is hello world. Let's see if I go back to my page and click on the news menu item, you can see the hello world, which is my very first post. This is what the template will do. It will bring in your date in a nice format, and then your actual text, as well as a category, maybe any comments. So let's say I wanted to add a new post. I just gotta go to posts, then add new, and let's pretend that I'm moving to another location, so I want all of my customers to know this, right? So I wouldn't want to create a new page for this and put it in the menu item. I just want this, so this is why having a blog would be perfect for this. Just a way to keep your customers up to date, let them know what's going on. So let's say I'm gonna create this new post and saying, we'll say, come visit us at our new location, and here is where I'll say we are moving. Please visit us at, and then this is where I would type in my new address, right? And then I'm gonna create a new category for this post, because we just have one category for a blog, and that's by default uncategorized. So all blog posts, if you don't select a category, they're just going to go into the uncategorized category by default. So I'll just click the add new category link, and then I'll say news. Then I'm going to click the add new category button, and boom, there we go. WordPress just added that category and it checked it for me. So that's all I really needed. I'm going to hit publish now. Beautiful. So now what happens if I go and refresh my news blog? Now I get to see that new title, and I get to see my happy face, and then my actual text here, right? So people can keep up with what I'm doing through that blog page. So also having a blog is really crucial. It will really boost your SEO rankings if you do it properly. So that's a topic for another another tutorial, because it covers so many things. But if you can, please make sure you do incorporate some kind of blog for your store. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I know it was a mouthful of things. Yeah, menus, a little bit of an extended topic, but hopefully with this tutorial you'll be able to create your own menus in no time, and just be able to change, or depending on your needs, you'll be able to change the layout and what kind of menus and menu items you want to place for your store, your categories, your shop page, your blog, etc. So that's it for now. We'll talk on the next tutorial. If you want to take a look at more lessons or other e-commerce resources,